What does his text mean?
So frustrating.
Maybe he's just not that into me.
No, she really likes
I've
me.
always been bad
How
at
can I
flirting.
get her attention?
I'm ready for
I just
marriage.
want somebody to share my life.
Is this
relationship going anywhere?
Modern Love Made Simple. This is Dates and Mates with Damona Hoffman.
Welcome back to Dates and Mates. I am here with Barry Selby. He is a best-selling author and a relationship attraction expert. And first of all, I just have to acknowledge, Barry, you've been doing Messages from the Masculine. You do it daily.
Yes.
And you're on episode 538. Is that right?
532 today.
Okay, well, basically
Yeah.
it's like 500.
It's over 500.
First of all, kudos to you for the commitment
Thank
to
you.
do that every day and to offer this content and these resources to people for free on your Facebook page. Barry Selby, author, right?
Dot author, yes.
Dot author.
If you want to be exact.
To be exact. But tell me what Messages from the Masculine really means to you and why you started this Facebook Live.
Basically, or simply put, because I started almost 2 years ago. In fact, it was December, right after the election when this started. No coincidence there.
Okay.
And
In the Year of the Woman, you mean?
the beginning, yes.
The beginning of the Year of the Woman.
And at that time, I started doing, I actually was going to do one or two and just see where it went. And that was going to be every week or two. So at the beginning, it wasn't daily. It sort of picked up speed after that. But anyway, at the beginning, a friend of mine I've been talking to had been suggesting my work should go deeper than just being about relationships only. And he didn't know what it was exactly, but he could feel there's something else that was birthing. And when I said, I think I know what it's about, he said, well, don't do these on like YouTube videos where you edit them, post them up later. Be much more authentic and real. Do a Facebook Live where there's no script and there's no editing. So it's transparent. So I was like, okay, let's do that then. So I started literally, I think the next day, I was on my bike down on the bike path and I just pulled up on the bike and said, I've got to do it now. And I was sweating and I had my baseball cap on and I just did a Facebook Live right then. And it wasn't until about 4 or 5 broadcasts later I really got clear of where I was coming from. Because I had made up a title that was just a throwaway one. But the reason I started doing them was because I had been watching women get so, I won't say put down, but excluded after what happened in the election.
Okay.
And that was, and it wasn't that alone, but that was for me, it was like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back in a way for me. It's like, I've got to start talking about this because men weren't at that point I was aware of standing up, speaking for women, offering their support. It was more about the old boys club. And men sticking together or being silent. And I was being silent up to that point. I said, I've got to speak about this. So I started doing these every few days, every week or two. And then a friend of mine, who's actually my coach, suggested a 30-day Facebook Live challenge for the people we were together with. So I thought, she was intending that people would go live within 30 days. I was already doing it. So I said, I'll do one a day.
Go live for 30 days.
Right.
Oh, you meant in 30 days.
Exactly.
Well, it's already done.
and basically kept going.
Just kept going.
Yeah.
So you said it's not scripted. So do you sit down and say, today I want to talk about this and then just roll?
It literally, sometimes it's, I keep saying literally, but sometimes it's 2 or 3 minutes before 5 o'clock. So I go 5 p.m. Pacific time, being my usual go time. And sometimes at 10 to 5, I'm going, what am I going to talk about today? And then I'll see a post or I'll just have an idea or remember something happened that day. Like the one yesterday was about, I called it discomfort in disagreement, because I had a couple of arguments that were not resolved from previous. And I went, I need to talk about this. It's my own experience, my own journey, which where I mentioned about my upbringing. And so these topics sometimes are triggered by events that I'm seeing in the world. Like I did one couple of talks about Beyond Me Too, because that's very relevant right now. And they're not scripted, they're not planned. I did end up doing after a friend of mine's event was a few weeks ago. She talked in the middle of her talk about how women were suffering from the masculinization of women. And that term was like, oh, that's juicy, that title. So I did a talk about that evening because I'd been inspired. And then I ended up doing 5 in a row that were the same thematic with different aspects. Again, not planned, they just came through. So I just followed the lead. It's like spirit guides me or whatever comes through me, and I just say yes.
Okay, so let's peel back the layers a little bit, because you just talked about a lot of different things. The masculinization of women.
Yes.
So you are a relationship expert.
And I'm a man.
You are a man. What does that mean to you, and how does that impact women in relationships or in the dating? Well, really both, dating and relationships.
Right. Well, as I've said, and I'm going to keep this Cliff Notes version because there's a lot to unpack there too. Women have been trained since women got their freedom, as it were, from being at home until they got courted by a man, to go out and get their life in order. So they go and get a bank account, get a job, get a car, get an apartment, and have independence. And in the dating scene, that put women in on equal footing with men because they didn't need men anymore. And that was the big shift in the culture.
We still don't.
It's true, no argument.
But there's a difference between need and want, desire.
And the thing is, there are things that men bring that women don't have, and the things women have and bring that men don't have. So it's also synergistic. It works both ways.
Yeah.
So once women were getting independent, what happened was a lot of women looking at, for example, when I grew up in England, Twiggy, the model back in the 60s, she was famous for having cut her hair short, being flat-chested, having a big, broad-shouldered suit on, no makeup, and that was the model that was being put out in the world as a woman. So women started copying that, going to work and acting like men. In fact, to compete in the business world, women had to copy what men had already done because the business world is a very masculine or macho-centric format.
Well, and there really wasn't the framework for how women could behave in the workplace. And men also reacted to that. Now I'm getting all heated, Barry. But I was talking to a friend who is probably in her 80s, 70s, 80s, and she was saying she was a loan officer in this office many, many years ago. And she was the only female out of 17 loan officers. And they said, well, if you do really well, then women will have a chance here in the workplace and in this office. And she was like, don't put that all on me. Like the pressure when you're the lone woman or the lone person of color or whatever, the pressure that's there. And so to be successful in that environment, she had to take on masculine traits. Otherwise, she was not respected.
Right, and can't even do as well as. She has to do better than to be seen.
Yes,
absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's the fault of what the system was not designed to do. So what happened in the dating arena is women would start taking men out or inviting men out. I actually had 3 relationships in a row where the woman started the relationship, and I realized at the end of it how much I'd messed up my own life because I wasn't living in my true masculine presence.
You were letting them be in the masculine?
Yeah, the whole time. The last one actually asked me out. I mean, she dominated the sex, which was fine. Except she wasn't happy at the end because I wasn't taking charge because I basically abdicated my role. And I got clear about that at the end because when she finally explained to me, because I didn't get it at that point, this is before I did all this work, I was like, oh, I see where I totally messed up. And so that's when I just dived into the work myself and learned where I was out of alignment with my masculine. And when I'm in my masculine, I know that women are in the feminine more naturally. It's not about you must be this. It's just the reciprocal energy and the polarity of masculine and feminine.
So let's talk about that a little bit then, the polarity. Because the listeners of the show know I fancy myself a feminist dating coach. And I've always advocated for women taking control of their dating destiny. There's of course a line between I am in control of what happens here, like how I show up in the dating space in a relationship, and chasing a man, which is just not attractive on any level.
Correct.
Masculine, feminine, just not cute. Okay.
Right.
So I'm curious for your reaction to the current dating dynamic and what you think about women showing up and women maybe sending the first message online or initiating a conversation. Do you feel that upsets the balance of masculine and feminine, or do you look at it as like a dance? I
would say more the latter. It's more like a dance. The thing I like Rodney referring to is back in the old days when ladies of the court would have a handkerchief they would drop for the man to pick up. That was the old flirt, and that was really the initiation for the woman to say to him, I'm interested, now you do the work.
But she still dropped the hanky. She still did it.
She initiated, right.
Yes.
But she didn't go after him after that. He did the work after that, if he was interested.
Right.
And the dating apps, in a way, can be the same way. If a woman wants to reach out to a man and drop the handkerchief by saying, hi, I like your profile, then sit back and let him do the work.
Right.
If he doesn't respond, c'est la vie.
That's where I feel like a lot of people are just messing up because that's not even attractive as a woman. Like if I'm like, nah, I'm not taking the bait. I don't want you sending me messages every hour and chasing me down.
Right.
So there is definitely a line of knowing when to advocate for yourself and when to say, hey, I like you. I mean, that's the other thing that I see happening now. Everybody's playing it so cool that nobody knows where anyone stands anymore. And they're like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm trying too hard. Well, I mean, I would go out with him again if he asked me, but I'm not going to ask him. And I'm not going to let him know that I liked him because then he's going to, it's like, oh my gosh, let's stop trying to guess what the other person's thinking. Just say how you feel. And if the other person doesn't feel that way, then Cool.
If
Rejection's
people-
God's protection, right?
Right, but if people would simply say the truth, God, it was so much easier.
Okay. So as we're talking about the truth, then I know you have a best-selling book.
I do.
50 Ways to Love Your Lover. I would have to think that that would be an element of it, like stating how you feel and expressing
Absolutely.
your wants and desires
Oh,
in
yeah.
the relationship.
That's definitely one of the chapters in the book.
Tell me more about. I know you're not going to give me all 50 ways to love your lover, but which one has been a big game changer for you and for your clients that you counsel?
Well, I mentioned about history, and one of the chapters of the book is basically if you don't own your history, it's going to own you. Because if you don't heal your baggage, then you can keep dragging that suitcase and that steamer trunk into the next relationship and then put it on your partner to fix it, and that's not going to work. So do your own work first. Especially if when you're single, if you're in a long-term relationship and you discover stuff comes up for you, then go see a therapist, see a counselor, get the help to be back on track so that you can be a better partner to your partner. If you're single, even better time to do it.
Right. I think that's good advice at any point in your life, like to get that self-awareness and constantly check in and move towards continuing to evolve. You say in chapter 8 in the book, love does not equal chemistry.
Yes.
What does that mean, Barry Selby?
Love is an interesting topic. It keeps us busy, obviously.
Obviously.
But the thing about chemistry is chemistry on its own is finite. And the challenge for a lot of people is they get drawn in by the chemistry and they have an amazing experience with a certain person, but then after about a day, a week, a month, a year or more, the chemistry is going to fade. It's kind of, you get over the honeymoon phase and then what do you do now? So love is what really is the solution. And reality is chemistry is something that's renewable, something we don't talk about, is I believe that chemistry is fueled by our polarity differences. I said my masculine and feminine earlier. And again, masculine and feminine, we have both. And in some relationships, the woman is more masculine than the man, and that's natural. But generally speaking, men are more masculine, women are more feminine by nature. So the stronger that polarity difference between masculine and feminine, the more there's chemistry. At least the way I frame it is. Because it creates more.
Say that again.
Well, because for me, chemistry is attraction. And masculine and feminine energy is like poles on a magnet.
Yeah.
So the more the magnets are strong, the more the pull is there.
So you're saying if a man is really in his masculine and a woman is really in her feminine, they will be more attracted than a woman who's slightly in her masculine and a man who's slightly in his feminine?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. There's more pull, there's more attraction, literally, because the masculine and feminine energy are pulled to each other. Not saying that you're going to be like decking somebody in the street because you go, wow, they're extremely they're in the other polarity, let's go to it. I'm talking about in a relationship that's already created.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
Okay.
I'll buy it. What about self-love? You were talking about having the self-awareness, but let's take it a step further into self-love. Are there some tips that you recommend for building that? Because if you want someone to fall in love with you, you kind of have to fall in love with you first, don't
That's
you?
one of the best kept secrets.
Oh, well, we're giving away all that juicy here
Absolutely.
on Dates and Mates.
Most people, again, I'm speaking generically, not for men or women, but most people think they'll feel fulfilled in the relationship. Like, and every love song and movie for the last, I don't know how many years, has has promoted the idea that somebody else will make you feel whole. I mean, in Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me is the example exactly of that somehow we're not complete ourselves. So when we do learn how to love ourselves, we become better beings to be in a relationship because we're not looking at the person to fix us. And we bring a wholeness, which means the other person is not feeling lacking from us. The biggest thing that I learned for myself over the years was how to, I won't say repair, but to undo the codependent programming I had as a kid. Because codependence is I call it a disease in our culture for relationships because it puts us in a place where we don't feel whole and complete ourselves and that the other person is going to make us feel whole. Therefore, if they don't do it, we get upset with them.
Okay.
Really messy.
It is very messy. You talk in the book about a self-love mirror meditation. Can you give us a little hint of that?
Certainly.
Yes.
Basically, self-love is a practice you do in the way you take care of yourself, the way you eat, the way you exercise. But one of the simplest things I discovered, and I've shared it so many times, it's so simple, and actually created a product from it, is basically taking 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening with privacy, if you can make the space, look in the mirror in your own eyes and just tell yourself you love yourself. It's that simple. You do that 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, and you feel it. You don't just say it, but you feel it.
Hold on, Barry.
Yes.
You said 5 minutes stare at yourself in the mirror. Like,
Yes.
did you like Leah, how he just kind of rolled through that? He was like, just
It's so
do it.
easy.
Just
So easy.
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people listening right now that are like, wait, that's really hard. Not putting on my makeup or doing my hair, but I've just got to stare at myself and meditate.
Well, I don't say necessarily stare at yourself. You're not trying to dominate yourself in the mirror.
Okay, let's make this easy for people, though.
So taking a minute to start with, let's start with a minute, for example. I mean, if you can do that.
I'm
much,
not saying that they shouldn't do 5 minutes.
Well,
Because I think something interesting happens when
That's
you
the
do
reason.
it longer, right?
Yes.
So you started with a minute.
Well, if you look in your own eyes in the mirror and you stay in contact, because so many of us, frankly, avoid ourselves. So if we're avoiding ourselves, how can we be in a relationship with somebody else?
Yeah.
You'd rather look at somebody else than yourself? There's something off there. So looking in the mirror into your own eyes and connecting, and if you want to put your hand over your heart, something that brings you into your presence, breathing slowly, bring yourself present in front of the mirror. It's just a mirror. It's not some scary monster. And tell yourself you love yourself. And do that for 5 minutes in the morning and evening for a month. It will change your life.
What if you don't believe it when you are saying it?
If you start there, first of all, if you find their stuff comes up, congratulations, you're doing deeper work. Because the thing about doing this is not just about, I'll just say it to be done. It's like putting a painted coat over rust. If you don't look at what comes up, in a
I know what
way,
you're saying.
because if you don't deal with what comes up because of it, then nothing really happens.
Yeah.
Loving yourself works because love is a great fuel, great part of our system. It's a really great gift. But it also triggers stuff because love is tied to a lot of pain for most of us from our past. So yes, things will come up.
But you can also rewire, right?
Absolutely can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of my work with my clients. Having a background in psychology, as I mentioned, gave me a lot of tools I didn't even know could help people so powerfully. So self-love every day. Again, I say 30 days because it takes at least 21, 25 days to change a habit. If you do it for 30 days, it rewires your circuitry.
And then you do it for 532 days.
If you wish.
And more. That's really great advice. And I hope everybody at home will actually try it. And it's going to feel silly at first. I'm just going to let everybody know.
Right.
Because I do some mirror work with my clients as well. And with myself, hard as it is. So I've been there, and I know how awkward it feels when, I actually do it with parts of my body that I don't like.
That's the deeper work I offer as well.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so torturous.
Well, the thing
so
about this-
torturous, but it changes.
Well, this is the thing. If you judge your body, you judge yourself, it's hard to relate to who you are. It's hard to be fully who you are. The biggest thing that we forget is that we're amazing, powerful beings, and we judge how we look because of the way society tells us we should be something else than we're not. If you learn how to love your body, and one of the practices I offer in the download in my product is I say in there that if you want to go deeper, if you look at yourself in the mirror when you're naked and you look at the parts of the body that you judge and you say, I love you as well. Literally, you're telling your body parts because your cells are listening. This is outside the frame of just relationship, but our body listens to us. So when you do actually get over the judgments, the upset, the hurt feelings, and tell your arms, your legs, your hips, whatever, that you love yourself, then those parts will respond. And you'll feel more integrated in your own body.
It's great advice. And if people want to get their hands on this product that you are talking about,
Yes.
where can they get it, Barry?
On my website, there's a link in the menu called Self-Love. And it's actually guided meditations, because I realized that people could read the book, read the booklet, and then it's like you look in the mirror and read the booklet as a pain. So I created an audio track for the morning and the evening that are different, so they can actually get support in the process.
That's so important. I don't do a ton of meditation. I'm working on it. But I do guided meditations, and having that other voice and that teacher or coach along with you can make it easier to start if you're at home and you're like, I can't do 5 minutes. I can't do any of this. Just let Barry help you. So I know you have your Facebook page at barryselby.author.
Yes.
But then the page where this lives
It's on my site. So my website, actually all my social media is my name, which is Barry Selby. Easy to find. A friend of mine told me a long time ago, it was marketing. Right after Facebook came out, said whenever a new platform shows up, put your name on it. So that way, in case somewhere down the road you want to use it, it's there. So literally every platform like LinkedIn, Twitter, all that stuff is all my name, which is easy to find. So my website is also my name, barryselby.com, and it's the self-love product on the page. The book's on there, everything's on there.
Wonderful. I hope everybody will check it out and get started with some self-love
I appreciate that.
meditation and guidance.